What do they have on docket? Oh, I'm sorry, the University of Central Florida. What do they have on the docket for us here tonight? It is, oops, my screen messing up there. Caleb active, Bales, Snakino, and Maui there rounding out the lineup. Now, I did say earlier, Blinkkz, the Knights are 4-2. They're the third seed overall in the Legends division. They won their quarterfinal last week 2-1 versus the number 6 seed of GCU Purple.
Yeah, it was a really close match between them where they ended up dropping the first map 7-4, but really bouncing back and winning their second map 7-4 and the third map 7-3. And we see that a lot of the time. The team that drops the first map but wins the second one normally has that momentum going into the third, and it makes a really big difference. So I think what's going to be big for UCF is really coming up big here today. But Corbec, we still have another team to look at, and this one's a little bit all over the place. Where thank you to our producer for updating the names. We got Mystery Inc. here. We have Velma, Fred, Daphne, Scooby Doo, and Tidal Wave. And I guess Tidal Wave's the name of the big bad for the week, as we're trying to unmask their identity. And it's still a mystery to me, but as far as the Ontario State University goes, they're currently 5-1 on their season. And in their first meeting with the UCF Knights in week 4, that was a 2-0 victory. Really quick in and out game for them. And if you want to go and look at their playoffs, they're at the second seed, so they got a pleasant little bye to get all their schoolwork done last week. I don't know about you, Corbec, but the second seed is looking very good going to this matchup.
Yeah, they definitely do, and still getting over Tidal Wave slipping in there. It's like when they used to do those guest episodes of Scooby Doo, where it's like Scooby Doo and the Harlem Globetrotters. I guess you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm assuming he's the one who's just slipping in there on the Harlem Globetrotters side. But here's our maps: Cafe, Border, and Consulate is the decider. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here, Blinkkz, and say that Consulate, the decider, is what you were referring to when you said it's something that we haven't really seen before.
Well, yes, Cafe Border feels like another collegiate special with some of these other normal maps to be taking. But Consulate, I almost feel as if the Knights wanted it to seem like they'd be banning that out, and for Consulate to skip through, it's pretty interesting. As I feel these teams might be have a good little bit of depth on that map, and we'll be jumping into our first map of Cafe momentarily. But I do think that Consulate will be a really good accumulation of Cafe leading to Border, and then onto your final map. But we'll see if we even need to go all the way to that point, as OSU Scarlet is going to have your first offensive ban of the night and be starting on defense.
Okay, well, that's a terrible opinion that Daphne is sharing there, but what would you expect from that particular character? Um, Papa John's, really?
Like, oh,
I know it's the
come on.
semifinals and we should be talking about Siege, but come on, dude. Come on. Not only is Papa John himself a terrible person, the pizza is mid at best. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's not like Little Caesar's bad, like it's not that bad, but it's not great. Anyway, Ging, okay, pizza. So you're a Little Caesars person, isn't that their thing? Pizza.
No,
Maybe I'm
oh
too
my
old.
God, this might be a Canadian. Is Pizza Canadian?
It may be. I don't
Oh
know,
my
but
goodness.
yeah, pizza. Anyway,
Let's focus.
Ying
Focus on
Dokubi. I mean, we could talk about pizza because there's nothing in this
Mm,
band phase that is remotely, innovative or groundbreaking here
nothing.
for Cafe. Ying and Dokubi getting taken out is pretty standard. Little bit odd to see Mira go, just because she is a very strong operator, right? We've talked about that particular band before. I think Blinkkz on the broadcast, but she is a very strong operator. There are very good options that you leave on the table, and taking Valkyrie out as well. While I do agree with that ban, that does leave Fenrir, Azami, Solus, the three probably strongest defensive operators here.
Yeah, Solus as well as Pulse in this map, both very, very good. And I'm interested to see exactly what these teams have cooking for us here today. As far as lineups go, it's pretty straightforward. I will admit I love when teams go for reading room first. I think it really catches the other team off guard and allows the defense to set the pace. Um, Only cautious thing you have to make sure is that your mindset is prepared for a wacky offensive take that is not going to be even remotely close
Defenders,
to what they'll
protect your
do on the
bombs from being
typical cookie
defused by
cutter round.
attackers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, it's one of those things, too, where it's a gamble, right? Like, you are genuinely taking a gamble if you pick this site first, because you're assuming that your opponents are going to struggle with the adaptation to it. because this site is perfectly defensible, right? I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's a tertiary bomb site. You can definitely make it work, but it is harder to defend by far than either of the other two sites, right? So there's just the simple fact of the matter. But in terms of their site prep, I mean, this is very standard, sort of like pro league stuff. That's a little bit different. Having the shield particularly anchored there in freezer, usually you would want to run a mirror wall into this, but since they don't have mirror as an option, they're kind of going for the budget sort of choice right there, and I can't necessarily blame them for that. That top floor hold Blinkkz is so important on this site. You really have to invest a lot of time and effort into holding on to it.
Early round here from the Knights, and I like that they go for this vertical and good to even show even the tiniest bit of pressure towards ace side. Just having the sledge anchoring on that window allows for a bit of pressure onto Mystery Inc. and making them feel a little bit more pressured. And the next part of this is always taking that third floor to get that vertical pressure. And if you are on the mindset of the defenders, you want to be holding here until around the 1 minute 30 mark, and then you've done your job. Anything up until that 1 minute, great, and then get down, keep your life. And if you want to stay up there, then just know that you're very much in the danger zone and should be playing that trade game. I think that's just a general consensus.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a good general consensus way to look at this. I mean, the difficulty here, right, is using the vertical, or not the vertical necessarily, the angles, let's say, of these windows to apply pressure to these second floor or third floor defenders to force them to back off, right? Like, that's essentially what you're trying to do right here. This sort of direct pressure, what Maui's applying, is perfectly fine for like distractive purposes, but it's not gonna be what makes or breaks this hold unless Tidal Wave gets into a gunfight. He should be. And he's getting a little close to it right there, and well, that's exactly what happens. A little too ambitious, and that in turn is going to allow for a move up here, but Velma doing some good work here, just locking it down with the machine pistol as well, no less.
Not exactly what you'd expect to see, but it's really going to throw a wrench into the plans of USC Knights as they need to go and figure out the take that they're going to do. But Stankino, right on the top of White Stairs, is going to stank a quick pick. Down goes Daphne, and now 3-3. Bale's doing good work with that sledgehammer, but that's not going to do much when you go over the machine pistol that Velma has locked in their arms, making their way, sneaking up through bar, looking for another one. Scope in, trying to find the head, spraying, trying to lock down. Snakino going to take a little bit of damage. That means that these two players of Bales, as well as Snakino, lit up just around that 50 HP mark, and 1 HP for Bales. It's going to be a little bit more difficult, but it won't matter. A headshot's going to do enough as down goes Snakino. Bales able to connect on Scooby-Doo. Triple kill for Velma. They've been going crazy with that machine pistol, trying to find the pick that they're looking for. Bales making their way from White Stairs. Single sliver of HP. Can't look the wrong way, and that's exactly what they're going to do as Velma, with the shotgun, secondary, to finish things off in an interesting use of the kit, but I like it nonetheless, and I think it really plays into more of a unique hold, and it pays dividends when you go to the tertiary bomb site first.
Yeah, it's certainly a interesting choice. And it worked out for them. I mean, if you can handle the CZ75 auto and actually like really bring that to bear effectively, you can totally run that shotgun lineup. It reminds me sort of running the SAS ops with the SMG11 on the defense. The difference, of course, being that the CZ75 is nowhere near as good as the SMG11. But if you can make it stick, you can make it stick. And the reason that they wanted that shotgun on the Thorn was for the purposes of kind of clearing out walls up top. So that was why they chose that. Again, one of the more bold choices that was made, but also one that paid dividends. They made it work. And I got to give them credit for that as we go up now to the cocktail site. I mean, you're starting with a huge advantage getting that tertiary site out of the way early.
It also means the problem with going to a tertiary bomb site first means that it opens up first as well for you to go back to. That's something that you also need to take in mind when you're selecting it. Something I want to emphasize on this approach is the fact that you are going to have a Rooney, Castle, as well as Mute. And what does that really mean? It just means that there's a lot of destructive capability from Rooney's Fist, as well as you have the Super Shorty and Mossberg shotgun. So expect a lot of these long lines of sight to be taken. And Tidal Wave with a little bit of a cheeky pick. We'll see if it's read into crouching, sees the head of the sledge. Great shot from Tidal Wave. Down goes Bales. And they'll be relegated to the bench for the rest of the round. And that's an operator you really don't want to lose in the form of sledge, especially when you have Velma playing the castle, that means it's going to be that much more effective, and you're going to be putting a lot more strain onto Snakey.
Yeah, it's tough for this top floor side as well, just like matches and what have you. It's going to limit your resource utility, is what it's going to do, because you're going to need, Ash charges now. You're going to expend those. You're going to have to expend Hibana X Kairos and stuff in ways that I don't think you necessarily want to on face. So it's definitely a good early pick that's really caused, I would say, some problems here for the side of the UCF Knights. But not insurmountable by any stretch of the word, but definitely going to make this harder. Scooby-Doo up here holding kind of in the bar Christmas area. I mean, this is a difficult place to be. Here's the Kiva barrier readied there for a second and drops it. And he thinks a little bit better of it. No, goes for it anyway. This is a good power position for an Azami to play. Up here, Blinkkz is very hard to force this Azami player out of this hold compared to, say, like even a Jaeger on a 90.
Wow.
They're not checking it. Maui gets caught, and there's another one. Stikino just gets caught looking, headshot, and done. And now it's a 5v2.
Players are really gonna have to put in the work. Active gonna be the first one to be making more of an impact, trying to spray from the top of red stairs. Not gonna have anything result from it as Daphne creeping up ever slowly. Active taking a good bit of damage down to 50 health. Spraying, they made their way over into Cocktail. There's a triple kill for Scooby-Doo looking for 4, and Rutro Raggy, that's a flawless round.
I loved it. I loved it. It was nice. Well done, yeah. Rutro indeed. I mean, I was saying it's a power position for Nazami. It's awfully hard to get him out of there. I don't know that they should have funneled quite that many resources into that one spot. Usually when you run into a spot that you're having difficulty struggling to attack, you kind of reverse direction. You go somewhere else. Try and put some pressure on the bar, so the cocktail side, less on the particular piano lounge area, whatever it takes. Even pressure trying to come up from below, and instead I just felt like that entire time the UCF Knights were trying to pick a lock that was nearly impossible to pick. So frustrating for them, to say the least, here in these early rounds. And as you go ahead to kitchen now, I mean, this should be where the UCF Knights start to do a little bit better, right? Theoretically, on paper, things you should be kind of learning some of the tricks of the OSU Scarlet side, the early spawn peaks, the very aggressive gunfights. These are things that you should be picking up if you're sitting on the side of the Knights, and should be kind of anticipating or planning around as you prep for this round.
I want to see a bit more long angles being held by the Knights. I think that it's going to be really important if you're going for it felt a little bit one-sided going for just the side of Cigar and putting so much emphasis when you could have gone over to the east balcony and got up on those windows and caused a little bit more pressure that way. I think that's something I would have preferred to see. The single-sided pressure is something that can actually work when you go for kitchen. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of a change for the Knights, and maybe they'll be able to catch Tidal Wave in their mischievous ways of just spawn peeking. Looking for it. It is going to be the Shield of Montang. So little bit of micro adaptations, and that's exactly what we want to see, Corbec. Montang's a micro adaptation.
That'd be so funny if it was Montang.
Did I do it? No, I think my soul would have hurt a little bit.
Like the southern version of that Montang. Anyway, we're looking here at the defensive setup. Scooby-Doo holding out in kind of bakery with the Wamai. It's a very standard hold, all things considered. You've got Daphne up above on the Azami, so trying to counteract a little bit of that vertical. And of course, Tidal Wave holding the shield here on the white corridor. That's a great hold position. Usually you see a smoke in that spot, though certainly, this is messy, all sorts of messy. What happened right there? Maui tries to force an entrance and gets destroyed, but on the other side of the ball, Scooby-Doo is getting run down, but he's not looking behind him. Caleb gets shot in the back by Daphne. A lot of violence very quickly as Bales will win that gunfight against Velma on the second floor and hopefully set up a 3v3 that is advantageous for the Knights.
Bales in a little bit of a micro battle upstairs with Fred. Trying to find it. Meanwhile, Snakino makes their way into Bakery. They'll be able to take out Daphne. It's the best round for the night so far off absolute chaos, but the remaining two players have made their way upstairs in form of Tidal Wave. Gonna have to go and try to hold from above. Active makes their way. They have to play for an obscure plant spot. They have the call from above. They're gonna move to kitchen service and plant in the default right next to Freeze's door. As a result, Spraying able to get a lot of chip damage onto active, but not able to finish them off just yet. As the drop is able to find the ace. Death from above will be tidal wave as CSU Scarlet will be able to take their third consecutive round and complete the perfect rotation.
Brutal stuff there from OSU Scarlet. No hesitation at all in the ways that they're playing, and even on the less aggressive pushes, such as what you saw with Scooby Doo right there holding in the bakery, they're still doing work. And just errors on the side of the UCF Knights. I mean, I think they're pushing a little too hard, especially too early. I mean, we've seen now multiple rounds where Maui has kind of tried to kickstart attacks and sort of been met with an unfortunate, not very good start, right? And that was a little bit better, I think, in the sense that I think they had Nomad with the air jab, right? Active's air jab was on the small bakery entrance to make that a little bit easier, which would have, of course, enabled that Montaigne push a lot better if you had managed to get the Ionic in there, but didn't perhaps account for the fact that the air jab would take both of them out, and just, just a little sloppy. I think they could benefit from maybe going a little slower on the side of the Knights. You don't have to speed run it.
I think that's a very good way to put it, and I think that Ohio State did a great job of going upstairs, and they good solid clear, taking out that buck where it wasn't the micro battle that we talked about. It turned into OSU's primary battle, and I think the ability to shift the resource and shift right back downstairs to play together was exactly what they needed to do. Being able to deny active on that plant with that little tiny bit of chip damage just made that round flip on its head. So very good stuff. I was really happy to see it, and as we go into this round, I'm looking to continue to see that Ohio State aggression, and that's exactly what we see from Tidal Wave. Mostly predicted, sprang down to do a little bit of shit damage on both sides, ultimately resulting in more harm than good for Scarlet.
Yeah, that's the truth right there. Tidal Wave, I mean, got out of it alive, but barely chipped the health of Sneakino in return. And, nobody died, so you can't say it's a complete disaster, but certainly it probably wasn't as good of a run out as they would have liked. And Tidal Wave might even be thinking about trying to pull that stunt again if they can guarantee some bodies on those repels. And Acton's kind of watching for it now, putting these air jabs down on these specific vault windows, and that's a very good decision to make right there from the Nomad player, and one that, that's what you would see if you were kind of playing in a pro attack and you wanted to take this angle to prevent these kind of runouts and stop people like Velma, per se, from jumping out there and trying to take someone off the rappel. That said, though, we're running into the same problem they had last time, Blinkkz, which is it's very hard to force this top site without double-sided pressure. And Tidal Wave did find a spot for the run out eventually and did secure a kill. Daphne picking up another one onto active. And it's a 5v3. They managed to even it back up, but Velma's still on the top floor with the CZ95.
CZ, I've never seen such accuracy with it, and just being able to line up those crosshairs is no easy feat. And spraying down, contending with these amplified scopes. One mute jammer and 3 ADSs to assist them. That's a lot of utility being committed to this top floor, but it's working out. Spraying left, spraying right. Daphne with a double kill, also with a SMG-11 machine pistol. Fails. Last one alive. Gonna dump all the ammo in their magazine. Has to deal with Daphne. Mossberg shotgun coming out. Pump and done. Down goes Bales. You're going to have on Ohio State winning their 4th consecutive round, and they've seemingly run away with this matchup, Corbec, and it's come from their aggression and their cold, calculated swings.
I can't remember if that was a trip or a quad there for Daphne, but certainly putting them down hard on the side of the Knights. I mean, the problem, though, remains, I think the speed, the tempo is way too fast. If you look at that situation, we were to a 4-2. In favor of OSU Scarlet in about a minute 40. Well, let's see, minute and 15 seconds into the round. That was our situation. I mean, it feels a bit at times like an unranked game or something where they're just sort of trying to force these entries. And tempo is one of the hardest thing. And to give them credit, tempo is one of the hardest things to master in Rainbow Six. Right? Nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, tempo is super easy. You know exactly what speed to attack. But it's also something that you can adapt while doing. And I think the fact that these really fast attacks are just not manifesting into everything indicates that you need to slow down. You need to drone more. Make use of your util. Like, actually make use of your util. I feel like the util on the side of the Knights is not play. Oh, Scarlet. really aggressive gunfights and basically capitalizing on the inability of the Knights to pick up sort of the early sort of runouts and attacks and what have you. You gotta lock it down a little bit on the side of the Knights. Just take it slow.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a
Let's see if
bomb.
they can manage that. So we make way into the action phase. Phase Montang being selected once again. There's going to be a spawn peak, resulting in a nice little trade, but Daphne also taking a lot of damage. It's going to be Maui on the Ayana to go down. Interesting aggression. Legion of Tidal Wave is the last person you'd want to lose on this roster. Well, I say that knowing that you still have the Azami and Mumai, who also have regenerating utility, but active. Getting a little bit aggressive, already on these white stairs. Interesting to mention that they went fireplace and mining this time. Changing things up. Down goes Daphne from Snakino. This is great. Yeah, it's been very, very quick for the Knights, and they need to properly assess everything they're doing, as Velma on the castle will take out active, and they'll no longer be active for the rest of the round. Snakino, top right stairs, making their way right towards top, and this is what we need to see. They've settled down, and now if they do proper drone work, not just tier 1 and get off, I'm very scary right now, as Snakino could push up, looking for the angle on their left, completely forgetting to check all throughout Cigar, and they might have the drone to assist them, or maybe Scooby-Doo is going to go completely unnoticed. Meanwhile, Fred sitting top, Cocktail Lounge, right inside Heaven, has a few options. Default cam still up. Wamai's regenerating utility also means that they have a lot of different options. Ripping around, this could mean a great rotate for them. Spraying, they're gonna go behind the Montang. Down goes Caleb. Refrag, that's a triple kill for Snakino. But down goes your Montang, and Snakino is gonna have to have an increasingly big effect in this round, as Bales is also taking some damage. They're lit up. Velma rotating in towards Train Museum. And down goes Snakino. Ace denied. With Velma on a double kill. Scooby-Doo Velma. They'll have to find the last remaining attacker of Bales. 3 and 4. 50 seconds to go. Really need to do their best to get their team on the board. Jumping, looking for Case and a spray. They still have not recovered it. 40 seconds. Oh, are we getting a heart? Oh, that's pretty sweet. Thank you, Bales. I appreciate that. Oh, thanks.
Yep, basically an unofficial timeout. Yeah, it's just an unofficial timeout. He knows that he can't really pick that up. He's just gonna wait it out. Velma's offering him cookies if he comes to the bakery. I mean, he can try for it, and he probably will, but he's gonna get killed, right? Like, there's no way you can make this work.
There's no way.
No, he's going to the bakery. They told him there were cookies there. Oh, that's not a cookie. Damn. Well, that's what you get for trusting strangers.
You can't trust random people you talk to on the internet.
No,
Why do you think
really
I never trust Corbec whenever he tells me something?
Everybody lies on the internet. Everybody knows that. So, unfortunate right there. I mean, again, that was a little bit of a, well, I'm going to say it was a little bit of a slower start, but I mean, if you look at it genuinely, it wasn't. I think a lot of those casualties came in like 2022 almost, or 20. Sorry, I messed up my timings there. I was thinking of the year, not the time.
That's pretty long time ago for it to be coming in.
Yeah, they came in at 220 on the total round clock. So like 40 seconds into the round, and I think we were at like the 4-3 already. Again, the speed is not their friend. It's not worked on any of these rounds, and as a result, OSU Scarlet, who was just running, I would say, very, well-organized traditional defenses of these bomb sites, is just making hamburger meat out of the UCF Knights attacks.
Going back down to this kitchen for the final round in this
attackers have located a bomb.
Half. I'm left with a few questions about the Knights, and we've talked about earlier how they have a very slow start, and even previously they lost their first map 7-4, but still 7-4, and maybe we could see a really big and good valiant effort that they need this round to have a really real opportunity, and at that point it's about saving the mental, because this is a mimic setup of what we saw previously. And if it's a mimic setup here, then you can almost count on it's been used before in VOD. So we should have a good response from UCF Knights, and I'm at least looking it's a little bit optimistic for the Knights.
Yeah, I mean, early kill right there from Active. Well done. Velma out of the picture, and that's the Soulless gone. So the Soulless was on the roam, and that's a good kill to take out. You take away a very valuable scouting util there as well. Daphne taking a ton of damage now on the other side. Won't quite drop, but does fall back to the 3rd floor. You've got 2 bodies kind of running around up here, and you've got to be very careful if you're on the side of the Knights. Fortunately, caution not there. Daphne finding Active, and Vale's getting caught out by Fred. Both of them drop, and it's back to a 4v3. And again, do note the time. That was only about 2 minutes left on the clock right there. So all of that happening in a minute. Maui slow rolling the corner into Fred, who picks up another one, and now we're at a 4v2.
Snakino doing some studying reading room. Trying to figure out what this round has in store. Meanwhile, Caleb on the OSA is just waiting inside the museum, and I want to just emphasize how stagnant this is. If you were to take a freeze frame right now and I were to ask you where is the site, you'd be guessing upstairs.
Scooby-Doo underneath, just looking up through the hole in the floor. I mean,
it's very slow, Corbec, and this freeze is just a matter of it feels the Knights have a little bit more questions than they do have answers as they start to make their push up, but that patience will pay off as Snakino will go positive, taking out Fred. And they need to move with this momentum and be aware. It's going to be the shots from down below that is going to start to do a lot more damage now. Meanwhile, on the top floor, that is Daphne on the Oryx. I'm a little bit concerned to make sure that they have the time to actually get onto the site. 30 seconds, they've used it. Now they just need to continue. Looking for the drop. It's going to be tidal wave. That's the next thing they need to contend with. Spraying through the wall. They have their deployable shields to assist them. Spraying towards site. Scooby-Doo. Down goes Snakino. Caleb. Rifle up. Looking for the pick under the Womai. They'll be able to grab it. Down goes Scooby-Doo. 2v1. Winnable. 15 seconds. Needs this plant. Great headshot onto Daphne. Now the tidal wave. That's a triple kill for Caleb as they'll secure their first round of this matchup and show a great bit of life going into the half.
Well done right there, managing to pull that one together. UCF Knights, that's one that they wanted. And they did a good job. I mean, a lot of it resting on the back of the gunplay coming out right there, but still, wins a win. And that's all good stuff. I don't know that you're going to be able to climb back up the sort of mountain that has been presented to you, but you can't be unhappy about picking up the round win, at least from the confidence. The confidence factor is good. And that's something important. I think that the Knights really needed, right? Just a reminder that, hey, look at it this way. We can win rounds. It's not all against us. Heading back up now to the top floor. And holding on to this bomb site. It's going to be, I think, another hard press here for the side of the UCF Knights. You know, even on the defense, they're sort of going to struggle, I think, because the tempo issues are not going to go away. Blinkkz. I just don't think they are. I'm really worried that we're going to see a UCF Knights team that's taking very early engagements and getting
10 seconds to go.
I think you have good reason to think that. And I feel like I have some unrealistic optimism. I also want to go and emphasize the roster that we actually see from Ohio State, and this really does just tell me a lot of aggression. We'll see what Maui has in store. Is if they are able to get a good look at these operator selection, they should be able to tell, hey, this is a rush, and they're going to go in red ping in all reality, and they're the Amaru springing right on up, and this should be a quick early engagement for Maui. They know they have someone on their ledge. That's exactly what they're playing for. I love the aggression so far, but will it work? Yes, it will. Active, able to take out Tidal Wave. Just won't work out in the favor of Scarlet. Jumping outside. Great aggression. They're going to eventually be taken out. Velma finally getting their name back on the board, and it's going to be up to Scooby-Doo and Velma. I'm interested in this
I'm-
Corbec just for the main idea that we're going to see now that the UFC Knights or UCF Knights have a good man advantage. Can they maintain it? And how exactly are they going to go and reposition themselves to play that 2v1?
Yeah, I mean, interesting that they, really did pick up the aggressive tempo here, and it really worked for them, at least initially in the round. It's slowed down a little bit now. But again, all of that action happening within the first minute of the round. We are down to a 2v3 pretty much at 1 minute 45, which is really fast pacing. It's just that it's functionally benefited the Knights here. They definitely caught their opponents off guard with that. The thing is, can you now win the 2v3, right? Like, can you effectively corral Velma and Scooby-Doo and bring them down as well? I mean, you've definitely got problems in this scenario, namely thinking of Velma still has 2 frag grenades in the pocket, and they've still got 1 Lion EED pink, right? Like, so they've got a lot of tools left that they can play with here. It's just they have to, on the fly, adapt to being 3 men down, and that's something that the Knights struggled with. So it's a good test of the Scarlet's capabilities.
Final EE1D scan. Review any of the players. And I've liked this slow save place. Great use of the Gone 6 to disperse the deployable shield inside of Cigar. That's going to make it actually a pain. With Velma making their way up is going to fail to notice Caleb. Case now down on white stairs. Scooby-Doo's going to have to pick up the pace, spraying towards the bathroom, flicking left and right, not knowing what angle to watch, but it's going to be the door, and there goes Maui to secure UCF Knights' second round consecutively, Corbec, and I think this is the exact sort of momentum shift that we are looking for.
It might be. I mean, it's perhaps early days yet. I still have some doubts that they can walk back the gap, but certainly the defensive side swap is very beneficial to the Knights. And like I said, it was a good morale booster there to clock in that 1 win on the attack when you swapped over to the defense as well. I mean, that's exactly what they kind of needed. But you're on such a razor thin margin. I don't think you want to get overly confident. And I think it may be that we're just seeing OSU Scarlet sort of feel out the defensive style of the UCF Knights, which appears to be a pretty aggro, at least in the early stages. So that aggression on the defense sometimes works wonders, right? We definitely see it work wonders. Scarlet had a very good aggro tempo to their early defensive halves. But if you kind of get caught on those aggressive pushes, it's punished very heavily, and suddenly you're in a very bad situation that you have to try and work out of. And yeah, the defensive advantage is good, but it doesn't make up for being like 2 or 3 players down right at the start of the round.
Secure the wall.
Deploying proximity alarm.
We got a point there. Lots of operator switching for Scarlet, still opting to take the blitz. I don't know how much I support that decision. I think my call for this entire round is still going to be that same aggression. I think it's not going to necessarily be targeted at Bakery. I think we might see a lot more pressure from the side of White. And if we do see Bakery, it should be split amongst these 2 teams. And I think I might be wrong. I think I might be overthinking it, as it seems like a massive amount of aggression just towards Bakery with all 5 players lining up. And we could see what feels like the old yellow meta in the form of a rush active. Spraying the drones, we're going to have a Yokai waiting, trying his best not to get shot out. Spraying Snake Eno is going to be able to take out Scooby-Doo, and not sure where that gunfight came from. Active, getting aggressive, trying to find a pick of their own. Going to run out of ammo. Down they go. Traded out. That's a little bit of unnecessary aggression. Spraying straight through the wall. Ruby bails to take out Daphne. They're going to rotate right back into the old Bakery position, playing behind the counter. Let's see what they have in store. What is on the menu today? Velma is going to take out Snake Eno. Meanwhile, still taking damage from that goo mine. They'll take it out. Stun is still ready back up. Spraying out Tidal Wave to take out Bales as they swing back out to take control of that Bakery entrance. Caleb holding the long angle along the hallway. Impacts, nades, explosions from every single potential corner as chaos ensues from Bakery. It's a very one-sided engagement. Bowing to find one Velma, second on the round on the blitz. Down goes Caleb, and there's Tidal Wave to find Maui, and it's going to be Scarlet to take that round off. What feels like only 3 rooms being required for that entire take.
Yeah, sort of a bloody, messy round, honestly, from both teams. I mean, losing the early body right at the start of the round was not great for Scarlet. They did a good job recovering, taking advantage of the UCF Knights getting really aggressive on the push. Honestly, I think it was Daphne on the blitz got a little bit lucky right there, right, in terms of how effective their initial entry was. For a second, it looked like they were going to get sort of stopped in small bakery, but they managed to punch a hole through and kind of rip the corner off of the UCF Knights defense. And once that was gone, so much ground had been surrendered by the Knights just by the pressure that the Scarlet were applying to them. They didn't have a lot of choice in how they
Defenders,
wanted to
protect your
respond
bombs
to
from being
that. And
defused
so
by attackers.
OSU Scarlet just sort of filled that void and finished the job. Now you're on a 6-2, and this is where things start to get really difficult, right? Because there is no ground you can give up, right? This is it. You don't go any farther than this.
Attackers have
So
located a bomb.
if the Knights are going to win this one out, or at least push it to overtime, they're going to have to put together a hell of a performance right now.
And I'm all here for it. I want to see that happen. I want to see that this team goes and makes the changes that they need to. And it seems like they're starting to adapt for the aggression that we could start to see.
10 seconds
So
to go.
fingers crossed. I think a really good read for delaying the time might be
5
actually
seconds left.
Tachanka and just being able to lock down entire hallways. But this same aggression, I don't know if I can get behind it. I don't know if I can support this now, because if you're droned out, you're putting your team already on the back heel, I guess. Not going to result in any confrontation, but
Defender exposed.
I'm really just not sure what to make this call.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure either. It looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward push here by the OSU Scarlet side. Thought I saw an early shot go in, honestly, but are they prepared to deal with that blitz setup again? And this time it looks like it's going to come from the backside, mostly over on Freezer Corridor. Caleb getting the kill onto Tidal Wave early, though, might sabotage this just a little bit. I think Hino is sort of the man in motion at the moment, fires a couple of shots into the blitz and then starts to fall back. He needs backup hardcore as Bales gets taken down. Now Caleb in a less than unpleasant position. He has to fall back a little bit. His active swings into the gunfight, catches Daphne looking. They really misplayed that freezer wall. I don't know what they were thinking right there, but the UCF Knights absolutely pounce on the opening that's been delivered to them. Multiple kills coming their way from that angle as Caleb finishes it with a shotgun and a beautiful round there from the UCF Knight side.
Just knowing whenever you die, you don't get a indicator of a kill cam. You still get to see how much health they have left. So a good call possibly came to know that, hey, this super shorty should do the trick. So UCF Knights holding on for one more round should be good. But that entire push and just neglecting that freezer wall just seems like just a clear blunder, and OSU not putting in the required amount of thought into their approach. And I need to emphasize, while you have a lead, it's rounds like that that are going to make the difference. The UCF Knights that might be trailing and still putting in every bit of effort, if they go into the next map and start to get that momentum, then I guarantee OSU will not be able to go and just flip that switch and get right back into the matchup. You need to keep consistent, and you need to make sure that you treat every single round like you are down 6-4.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, it's razor's edge. I keep saying it, but it's still true. I mean, you don't get any mistakes. OSU Scarlet, they get at least 2 more before it's real tough peanuts for them. So, you know, Scarlet, again, it's just a matter of, I think, adapting and figuring things out. I mean, I don't think the attacking strategy there was necessarily bad. I think it was just a little bit poorly executed. They may have underestimated the ability of the Knights to respond as elastically as they did. Nice attempt there from Bales, but he mistimed that just a little too early to run out there. I still think it wasn't a bad idea. He's going to wait here and see if he can collect another kill, and he might be being a little bit bold right here to go for this, and he is. Nobody ever plays up there, I'll tell you that for free, but Daphne does that time and secures the kill. Never seen anybody up there. Nope, same.
The forklift? That's not what it's called. Is it a
No, it's not a forklift. It's a gosh, what are those called?
Oh my goodness.
There's a term for them. I just don't know what it is. What is going on
Wait,
this doorway?
what is this? Scooby-Doo to find one friend to be able to take out Maui as all the players on the side of UFC Knights are just falling, and this unnecessary aggression. Down goes Velma, Velma gets confirmed for kill with a nade. Caleb lasts alive, spraying with the entire magazine. Won't even matter as Fred collects them to Caleb. I'm at a loss for words for what this final round was, but I guess that's another mystery solved as OSU
engagements. They just need to slow it down a little bit. And unfortunately, Border is another map that I think really engenders a sense of like, hey, gotta attack, gotta go fast. So hopefully they'll slow it down. I mean, they're starting with defense, which I think is good for them, all things considered. Because it maybe will curb their aggressive tendencies just a little bit. Though saying that, you think about the tail end of the rounds on Cafe right there, especially that last round in the map, and really the UCF Knights bit off more than they could chew, and OSU Scarlet was just all over it.
Yeah, I think going and looking at these bans quickly, OSA is one that actually sticks out to me because we did see that on the side of OSU, they did utilize the OSA a good bit in the first half, and I think it's going to really stop the aggression, and it's going to really turn focus more towards having to take that Monting and really emphasize that pick.
Yeah, and similar bans already shaping up here. I mean, you've got the Ying out, you've got the Valkyrie out, and we're going to see what comes off the side of the UCFs. And the Knights, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually went for a Mira ban again here as well. Oso was the only original sort of rotate, but there are perhaps better operators, and that was one of the ones I was going to talk about. Solus getting taken out, I think, is a really good choice. Solus is a super strong operator, especially on smaller maps, because it's just a matter of distance, like genuinely a matter of distance, and how far her gadget goes, and it just gets more value on Border.
Yeah, you have a good point. I have a question for you, though. If you were to change one of these bans, I think the Solus would probably be it for information purposes. But with the current bans, I feel like we might actually see a lot more aggression from the defensive end based on the information that we're going to be able to gain from that Mira and a zombie and just being able to the entire floor to their advantage. I know it's I think that's more like an understandable hot take, though.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, I think that the Azami is a very good ban as well. She's so strong. Mira, I'd be a little less worried about, all things considered, just because the Mira setups are okay on this map, but I don't think that they're so impactful that they're, if you're not banning her, you're going to suffer for it. Like, take a look at this ban. This one, right? Like, this is a good Black Mirror setup, don't get me wrong. It reminds me of back when Coastline is rotation, you had your kitchen bomb site, you had a Black Mirror looking at the door of kitchen service, and it's a good mirror window, but there are ways that you can play around it, and most importantly, you can genuinely just ignore it. Like, you do not have to engage on that wall. You don't have to do anything about it. But the minute that you take our CCTV across the hallway, you're putting pressure on that Black Mirror. You're making it a less tenable place to play. So I'm not too worried. I would not be too worried about it. I think the Solus was the appropriate ban. I think the only one that I would have changed personally is maybe the Osa. I just don't think Osa's necessary to get rid of. I just don't think she's that good.
Yeah. Looking into this first round, a bit of I don't like being overly critical. I just don't know how much I like the aggression that we're seeing from Maui sitting inside of security and the lack of exit routes that we could potentially have for them. It feels like it could be a little bit of a death trap. But yes, they'll have the magnets, but this makes for an interesting scenario. Tidal Wave will take out Maui with a stray nade, and that just tells you everything you need to know in that scenario. Daphne to take out Snake, who is playing at the top of these stairs. So down they go. That's a 2-player advantage now going the way of OSU Scarlet, and that's something that they've been very proficient in working with, as Bales is going to rotate back to site relatively early active, still using the mirror on the balcony, and now trying to collect onto a frag, or only do a tiny bit of chip damage, make that a little bit more into Scooby-Doo. Bales cheating back to Archive, still trying to hold this 90 hallway. Scooby-Doo on the blitz is going to take out active and bring out into sight. Bale is going to flash. It's the Warden. You should really have those glasses on as Velma collects yet another kill for this round. Their first round, and that's Fred. selecting is they just sprang the trap on site, as they had very good information of where all these players were, and not a single one was playing for that refrag, resulting in the first round going the way of the OSU Scarlet. I'm rather worried, Corbec, because that was a lot of worrisome signs for the Knights.
Yeah, just kind of a complete collapse of the pocket, right, in terms of their defensive setup, not to mention those early deaths. I mean, those were huge impacts, right? You're down to 5v3 at the very start. You lose two guys really quick, and suddenly you're playing from behind. The OSU Scarlet side, they just close the knot. I mean, they literally just push on both sides, and you see what I mean about that Mira window. I mean, it's good. It's a strong power position for a
Attackers need
Mira
to
player,
locate
but
and
it is
defuse
not a
bombs.
guarantee of victory because you just bypass it, which is functionally what they did, to the point where Active was sort of split focused right there, and that allowed somebody to basically walk up to it and get the shots. So the defensive setup is not changing in a significant way here. I mean, bringing the Azami, I think that's a really good call, because it does actually allow you to physically impede the rush, like genuinely slow it down by throwing Kiva barricades in the way. But they just need to be cognizant of the speed with which OSU Scarlet plays, and judge their responses
5 seconds
accordingly.
to insertion.
I actually really like your
Attackers
take there.
objective
I
is to
think that
locate a
you
bomb
sum
and
it up
defuse it.
quite nicely in keeping some foundational parts, but still changing what needs to go. 2 drones, oh my god. Okay,
Yeah, he's doing great work for a non-Solus.
For
He's
a
just
war
spotting them and taking them
four.
out.
Scarlet didn't really even need their drones.
Oh
Scarlet,
no.
No.
They-
Go ahead,
That's
Corbec.
rough.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, look at the way that this is playing out.
There's nobody on
Or-
site. Plank going
Yeah.
down. You're gonna have a 5-man retake as everyone springs the trap. C4 top.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Oh!
We stand corrected as Active fails and Stakino spring the trap of what looked like an empty site, and Velma sitting out on the balcony, as we could have a complete reverse flawless as this round goes completely on its head. And that's a throw that really necessarily should not have worked out, as Velma might be forced to go on the rappel, go and try to find a different frag, swinging, trying to find a pick. And I think this is almost an honorary flawless, as wow, what that nitro cell throw just saves the entire round for the Knights.
It did. Mistake on the part of the coverage player. That's straight up what that was. You have a guy who's covering the angle there, preventing that exact play. That's why Active's health is like half what it was, as Velma clears up Snakino. Just got to get 4 more here in this revenge horror flick. We'll see if Snakino can do that. I don't have the highest hopes, but stranger things have certainly happened. It was a failure of the coverage player, because I was gonna say that attack looked pretty much golden, because they were doing the smartest thing possible, which is they noted that the UCF Knights had changed their adaptation to anticipate the kind of attack that OSU had just staged. And they're like, hey, what if we just run it straight at the bomb site, because they're not focusing on it anymore. Really liked it. I mean, a very good call from OSU Scarlet. And barring, a couple of rounds going one way or the other, it would have worked. It was just a great save there by the members of the UCF Knights, in particular Active, hitting that nitro cell from deep. I mean, that was a really good nitro cell throw once they got clear of the covering fire to save that round.
This match is taking on a roller coaster of emotions. There was a few weeks ago, Corbec, where I felt on top of the world. Here on Border, I looked at the roster, I looked at where their drones were positioned, and I predicted the entire round to a T.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
And I was happy. I was great with it. And now I'm stuck here. I'm looking at this match, and these players just keep on throwing me curveballs, and I don't even know what to say, how to predict what could possibly happen in this single 2 minutes of a round. I struggle to predict a single element of it. And I love that part of it in one little aspect of it. But on the other hand, it is so very random, and I'm having trouble to really explain what's going on. That's Rainbow Six. And I think the goal of this tangent that I'm having right now is that I want to make a prediction.
Attackers
Yeah,
objective.
go for it.
All right, thank you. So we have
Drop the diffuser.
our typical site of bathroom as well as tellers. And I'm expecting a lot more of a aggressive second floor take. And I think we might exclusively see second floor coverage until they absolutely have to drop.
Attackers have located a bomb.
And I'm
Yeah, I
keeping
mean,
it
I'd
general.
say
I'm
that's a
keeping
fair
it general. I'm keeping it general. There we go. That's
No, I mean that's the best way to attack this, right? Is you take that top floor control, and you know anybody who's played a decent amount of Siege will tell you, hey, look, like top floor control, man, that's what it is. Because once you got it, it becomes so hard to push players out. Great kill there by Tidal Wave, by the way, for reading Bales' defensive position. Bales himself did great to secure the kill, but got caught looking. You got Stakino getting brought down there by Velma. That's an unfortunate death early in the round. The Legion, of course, adds value the longer they're in it. Oh, I thought Maui was about to see an enemy right there, but he doesn't. Instead, somebody gets caught in a frost mat. Maui could have finished him off. A little slow there to follow up the shot. And that's allowing the members of OSU Scarlet to effectively regroup and continue their push. And they are actually taking away Crocus from the top floor and going for a more horizontal approach.
active, sitting inside main lobby. Is going to rotate, managing to stay safe. Meanwhile, Daphne taking out Maui. You now see 3-1 favoring OSU Scarlet. Sprang and down they go. Tidal Wave with a quick little shoot piece to finish off that round. And starting off on the top floor, get your picks and make your way back down to your main objective, your main line of sight, which is that Teller's bomb site. That's going to mean OSU Scarlet goes up 2-1. And I think we saw a lot more of that foundational asset rather than push the site, quickly get the plant and get out. And I think that's exactly what we need to see, that same consistency for Mystery Inc.
Yeah, I think they just kind of remembered what, you know, was benefiting them the most on Cafe, because if you look at the way that they played that, it was the sort of things that they had been doing on Cafe Attack, those couple of rounds that worked out, basically just getting aggro, you know, really getting up in the face of the Knights, challenging them on those long sight lines. I mean, though you saw the kill cam there at the end, you know, the replay. That's all that was, just playing really aggressive long angles and assuming that you were going to win the gunfight. Because for a while there,
Attackers need to
it
locate and
looked to a
defuse
certain
bombs.
extent like the Scarlet attack was going to get stifled. They didn't have a lot of success on the vertical. They were really pivoting to a horizontal approach. And then the
Attackers have
UCF
discovered the
Knights
location of
just
a bomb.
couldn't win their ones. And that happens sometimes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a shooting game, so you got to win your ones. But unfortunate indeed, I think, for the Knights, because they had the shaping of a good win right there and just couldn't wrest it back around.
Moving forward, the Knights
10
have played a lot
seconds
more
left
tame. We
before
haven't seen any
insertion.
runouts. I think the fourth round is a good time
5
to
seconds to go.
slow. I'm not going to say overly incorporate it, but you want to still increase the elements of that. You want to keep your
Attackers'
opponents on their
objective is
toes
to
at every
defuse a
single
bomb.
moment, slow them down to have them make that overly aggressive mistake of a play in some cases. But reattempting the same bomb site as before does seem like the right choice. And Maui's done a great job of holding down the second floor just long enough. But what I really want to see is that aggression. Thank you, Bales. Is they're going to be able to open things up, spraying through the front door. Down goes Daphne, and that's your soft breach off the board. And pick up the pieces is Velma. Looking for their glasses. Can they fight it? Can they find it? And is their vision clear? Spring around. They're going to have to take on Bales inside of Workshop. Spraying, and nope. Still cannot find what they're looking for. Refrag by Scooby-Doo active. Take out Tidal Wave in this trade game, resulting in the way of the UCF Knights. And Fred is left all alone upstairs. A spray from Maui. They'll lose their head. And the Knights bring this one 2-2. And yet another really, really quick round.
Yeah, another fast one, and you know the Knights, when they want to be, they go fast, and they get their kills, and if they get their kills, they win their ones. That's exactly what they need to do, and they did that time, 100%. Good aggressive effort there from the UCF Knights. If they can continue to maintain that tempo, I mean that's good stuff. Like genuinely, that's good stuff. They need to really kind of try and catch the members of the OSU Scarlet off guard, Binks, and it's easier said than done. But the speed at which that round finished, I think, is really indicative of how both of these teams like to play at a very quick rate.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Going into this next round, I'm going to start setting goals. I feel like that's what we need to start doing. Goals for a
Attackers have
round,
discovered the
and we can
location
go
of
and
a
take it
bomb.
slowly, step by step. And I think that will help me be able to go and show a narrative line. So my goal this round for the Knights is to have a clear intention of an extension. If you're going to be extending off a site, we saw that it was a spring plant from OSU Scarlet. If you're going to be extending off a site, have the ability to go and
10 seconds
move
to go.
yourself around a controlled area. Know which areas are yours when they become neutral and
5
when they
seconds
go
left.
and fall to the enemy. Inevitably they will, because that's the line of events that follows in a Rainbow Six Siege matchup. So thinking about that, we can then go shift our ability over to OSU Scarlet, and it's going to be the exact opposite of when you're taking a room, making sure that you know it's yours and clearing it to a proper ability and working in reverse. If you have a drone making its way through sight, have it confirm, work in reverse of, okay, if I want to make my way into this room, this is what I have to look at, then this, and this. Okay, so that's essentially my main way of looking at this. Is title will take out Caleb with a really well-placed nade. I'm not sure where exactly that sailed from.
Yeah, no, it was well placed. And Caleb, unfortunately, the one who got caught. You get a well placed nitro, you get a well placed kill on the other side, but the plant's going down right now. Scooby Doo slamming it down, and here come the members of the OSU Scarlet side, in and out like a wind. And the Knights, they are completely off put by this. The Montaigne now sitting on top of it. Bales does actually get a kill. Snakino getting in on it as well. Good follow up there from Daphne, though, taking advantage of that brief moment. And look at those track stingers. That is such a pain here for the members of the Knights. 20 seconds left on the clock right now. Trying to take down the long-range coverage player is Bales, but he cannot find those shots, and unsurprisingly so, Scooby-Doo takes active out of the equation. Bales the only one left. He goes for the long walk around, and he gets smoked for his troubles. And a very good attacking round. No nitro cell to save the members of the Knights this time.
I think the Knights really captured their goals there. Take control of room and make sure it's yours. And I think the case really does flip the tables and flip the script a little bit. But yeah, it comes down to that well-placed nitro. And the previous time we had a attack on the second floor archives, we really, in Armory, we saw that nitro came a result of poor coverage. That was not the case here. Done and dusted. OSU Scarlet maintain their lead. UFC Knights still yet to take the lead going to this final round and a half. I expect them to take it. They've done a great job bouncing back. But for OSU, they want to go and
Attackers
really
need to
set
locate
themselves
and
apart
defuse
going
as
into
many
that second
bombs as
half.
they
You
can.
don't want to give the Knights a team that's very notorious for having a ramp-up energy as the match goes on. You don't want to give them that even the slightest opportunity to make that happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, honestly. You don't want to give them the opportunity to get it off the ground, right? You want to keep it essentially locked down. And Scarlet looking like they can make it out of this attacking half with a 4-2, which I think on border is pretty good. I mean, you can't really complain about that, especially when you're swapping over the
10 seconds
defense.
to go.
The Knights, on the other hand, I mean, they're anticipatory now of this rush, which is good. But I do worry to a certain extent that they might fall into the trap that they fell into at the very start, which was that OSU Scarlet basically reversed expectations, right? They thought that they were going to see a rush onto the bomb site, and then OSU Scarlet was like, no, actually, or no, they thought that they were going to see a more long game, and then OSU Scarlet was like, no, actually, we're going to rush. That may be the case here, though I will say, by the looks of it, OSU Scarlet is setting up for another attempted rush, just like what we saw as Tidal Wave narrowly misses picking up active right there.
And I want to say that the Tachanka escaping with their life is probably one of the most important. Is that's your area denial, the smoke of sorts that would be able to stop that Montaigne with 20
Attackers have located
different
a bomb.
nitro cell type influences in area control, while still just slightly slower. But it seems to have slowed down for Scarlet as really trying to get set up. And I like to see the Montaigne setting up these pre-placed drones, as that's probably the most important operator to have do it. Unfortunately, getting shot out. The Montaigne no longer has any drones. It's going to be a more aggressive gunfight. Fails from up above using the long angle, takes out tidal wave. Down goes your sledge, still with some nades that were preemptively inside of, or no, they had utilized both of them. So unfortunate timing there. But Cook and the Montang will be active as they need to go and change their entire route, breaking down the doorway, looking towards
Oh,
the east balcony. What a shot from Snakino. Swinging around the corner, leaving Montang left to their own devices now. You're going to have to go for a lot of different types of rotations as they try to move the Tachanka out of play. And this is where you need someone to be calling the shots, telling you exactly what needs to change as the Montang's on their own. And when you leave this Montang and just call freeze and just have someone go up, go and try to play for those picks, try to open things up, because there's chaos. 3 players playing on their own, essentially, on the side of OSU Scarlet.
yeah, Sneakino there, now looking at those long side angles. I mean, Daphne's basically stuck, right? Like, there's not a lot of good recovery from this. It's unfortunate. And you're going to want to shift eventually. I mean, you cannot sit here forever. You've got 45 seconds on the clock. Fred here potentially could swing in, provide a little coverage. You also want to get Velma into a spot where they can help. Fred does have 2 frag grenades, so they're not completely out of resources, right? Like, they've got tools. And Velma might actually get a kill right here. Sneaking up, she does. Good stuff right there. Sneakino was so focused on dueling that Montaigne, they went down. But now with 25 seconds left, Velma's vacating the premises, going in a completely opposite direction. And I don't think they realize that Active is here with the Tachanka Shumika launcher. Just going to put down the fire, but he can't quite hit the shot. The Nitro Cell over the top. Daphne is down. The plant will not complete. The Flames claim another one. Here comes Fred just forcing the issue, but I mean, this is a ridiculous gunfight situation here. Velma finally gets in on the action, but it's way too late. And the UCF Knights, they're the more adaptable team this time around. It's OSU R6 who needed to change the game plan, Blinkkz, and they did not take it.
That leads to a 3-3 split, and I like the Knights' adaptability there and only having one person secure that angle around the door. That way you don't have to worry about still losing to the eliminations. And that plant was extremely close. I'd like to go and get a replay of just like the milliseconds that we had there, because I think if that Tachanka's reaction speed was just a tiny second slower, we could have seen a potential plant and a different round in its entirety, as all the players from the Knights had to flood back. But then you still have the player advantage, and it could have resulted the same way. I digress as we start to see these teams on the different side of things.
Locate and defuse bombs.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. And the UCF Knights, I mean, they did well. They did genuinely well right there to really read into that attack and take what they could out of it. Now we're sort of seeing the side swap here, and we see the OSU Scarlet side taking over on the defense. And it's interesting, and this is such a micro note here, Blinkkz, but it is interesting. Note the difference in the mirror window placement there between how Velma placed it versus what we saw the Knights placing it as. And the difference in this is that mirror window is slightly harder to defend in certain ways. I don't actually think it's worse, in my opinion. It's just you're looking more at coverage of CCTV and less of direct coverage leading down towards the balcony. And I think that actually makes a lot of sense for the way the tidal wave is going to do it. But if the UCF Knights establish presence in CCTV, that mirror window is effectively cut off. Like, you cannot get out of there without winning a gun.
Loading full magazine.
Good way to express the
A bomb has been located.
dangers in this sort of scenario.
It's an interesting difference in the philosophy of the two teams.
Yeah, it really does speak to the type of aggression that we might see, like from OSU Scarlet when we saw them defending over on Cafe. Those type of aggressive peaks is exactly what they look for, and just rely on their ability to go and win that gunfight. But that hasn't necessarily been the instance or the case here. Then again, we haven't really had to see their attacking side too much. It's been their defending side that's been so dominant that has only dropped a single round. So we'll see if that dominance continues here on Border, as we're just a minute 55 to go in this seventh round of action, first round of the second half. Velma taking a tiny bit of chip damage. Snakino starting to make their way in. Sprang, they have to contend with the first mirror window. They're able to take out one, rushing in, and that's going to be the aggression of the UCF Knights really not working on their favor. They're going to go down 4-3 as Velma's the only one to lose their life. Meanwhile, Bales down below is going to have to contend with this zombie looking through the tiniest angle. They will narrowly miss each other, and this could lead Bales to getting caught out as Daphne makes their way right back up to the second floor with a minute 25. There's no need to continue to hold from down below. They've done their job to make sure that you don't have that early plant. Spring over Maui. Prepping the nade. Not going to let it go. Hold out for just yet another day. And these rotations all the way back. This mobility from OSU Scarlet seems unmatched and very hard to contend for UCF Knights. But nope. Maui has something to say about that. And you're welcome as down goes Scooby-Doo. Tidal Wave taking out Caleb. 3 versus 2. This entire round keeps on ramping up as Tidal Wave will shut down Maui. 3 kills on the round, all left up to Bales. They're making their way down main hallway, looking in towards Teller, Sprang, and Daphne. On the Azami, will shut that one down. And the rotation, the routes of every single player. Ohio State earned that round through and through.
Yeah, basically the OSU defense, close to exactly what they needed, like close to perfect right there in terms of how they played that. And how it worked. Genuinely good stuff for them to make it happen. The thing that I think I noted the most about what was happening for the OSU Scarlet side is that they did a really good job of basically identifying the location of the Knights players. So they never felt like they were in a situation where they were unaware of where their opponents were located. And you could see that that came into play because of the way that they were able to shift the defenders around. Like it was the intelligence. I use it in the not thinking sense. I use it in the the intelligence they were gathering sense. That allowed them to make those good plays to shut down the individual members of the Knights. And again, the Knights kind of putting themselves in that situation by just going a little too gung-ho too early. Like the pacing, they just need to slow down. They really need to slow down, drone, and bring things like Maui's frag grenades to bear. I mean, they had 2 of them, I think, in pocket when they died. You got to get those off. They had a frag grenade kill. If they had been able to drone out the Warden, they could have legitimately gotten a kill right there from 1 quick frag.
10 seconds to insertion.
That's exactly it. And
5 seconds to
I think
insertion.
that's the adaptation that we need to see. Especially with Maui prepping that nade initially.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a
Drone
bomb.
economy looking very good for the Knights as they only lost 1 during that prep phase, and we haven't really had to see OSU go and hunt them down necessarily, but we've also seen a lot of saving of the drones from the side of the Knights. And yes, I know it's a very niche thing to talk about, but I do very much believe that the drone economy will very much tell you a lot about the round. And exactly in this scenario, as Bills has a drone right in sight telling you Oryx and Mira are currently on site, you have the Wamai playing. Well, I think this information is coming just a little bit too soon as it gets taken out. It still provided some good information, and Bales, who might be springing the trap going for the window, they now know that it is a clear route. Springing into sight, Maui's able to go and collect on a kill. Meanwhile, Active also spring the trap, and this entire second floor push is well underway as Scooby-Doo can get a reconciliation frag onto Bales. Meanwhile, Maui springs in to take out Scooby-Doo. Velma sitting inside a fountain. The mirror window's already been droned out. They know that there's someone playing inside there ready to go, and that's the only other player that they droned out upstairs. Swinging out. Daphne also present, trying to assist in the ways that they can as they'll be able to take out Active. That's the player that was not droned out. That lack of information in that scenario. Maui spraying. Down goes Velma. Triple kill for Maui. They've been unstoppable this round until Daphne goes and just has to prove me wrong. Evening things out at a 2-2 and another very quick explosive start here on Border as Caleb's finally going to make their impact known. Noticing this mirror, seeing that they have been caught out. Does Caleb go and continue to pressure, or do they have Snakino getting ready to go and assist them as they make their way in? Sneaking up, holding the angle, might have had the audio cue, and that's a very smart drop from the Azami. Sorry, the Azami into showers and Corbec. This is exactly what you want to see, and this is the type of play that I love from OSU Scarlet, as they have now taken the round back into their control and made time work in their favor.
Yeah, that was really well done. Good maneuverability there from the side of OSU Scarlet. Again, the timing of all of this is ridiculous, by the way. It's a minute now. Just now hit a minute. Oh, Tidal Wave just catches the side of Snakino's head, but it's a good trade. And it's a 1v1 now. Daphne on the sideline looking towards Caleb. Caleb has dropped, though. He's gone. He's putting the plant down. And Daphne needs to realize that and get back. The intel game that's been so beneficial here to the members of the OSU Scarlet side now failing them in a critical round. I don't think Daphne has any idea, really, where exactly Caleb is. Caleb vaulting! Oh, my lord. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it was a misclick. I mean, he was already engaged in the push coming forward. Daphne swung the corner, collected that kill, and yeah, that's unfortunate right there for the side of the for the side of the UCF Knights. You hate to see it, frankly, because that was really well done up until that point by Caleb to get the plant down and to have a defensible position to defend it from.
Man, oh man, that one just hurts a little bit to have to go and look at. And you could feel it did feel like a misclick.
Yeah, probably was.
Yeah. So very, very unfortunate, and you had the ability to rotate around, and I think that's just a matter of going for the crouch and hitting space, unfortunately.
Yep.
In the scenario,
It's almost certainly.
Yeah, that's it.
Almost certainly what it was. I mean, once you're locked in the animation, you're locked in the
You're
animation.
stuck, and
like,
you
can't get out. Yeah.
Your ADS is going to move. There's a lot of different elements. So, well, shocking to see in the moment. It is a very understandable thing to have happen. And now I just hope that the Knights can go roll their shoulders back and maybe take a tactical timeout or just a timeout in general. Something I was expecting to see there. They've had good momentum. That's the first consecutive round that they've lost. I really need to emphasize that. That's the first time, and it was really, really close. If there wasn't that vault, it could have gone the other way. And I don't want to put all the pressure all onto the remaining player being alive. I think that in that sort of scenario, look at everyone else and how they died as well. It does not come down to the one singular player.
Yeah, I mean, that's true as well. It was very typical. That's not atypical. It was a very typical round, frankly, of like exemplary round in the terms of how this match is going. Everybody dead like a minute in, and then just okay, now what? From the remaining side of the teams. And it does really seem to be like every once in a while you get in those situations, and it's just whichever team figures the now what out better is kind of the one that's winning. And in that case, I think it was the OSU Scarlet side who figured it out, like the drop from Daphne and the repositioning, what have you. That was all very clever. And the UCF Knights, they that was the closest of those kind of now what scenarios, because both those individual players were making some very good calls, but unfortunately not quite good enough, right, for the side of the UCF Knights. Interesting approach by Active, by the way, using the zero cams right there to really build intel. And there's an aggressive swing from Daphne, maybe a little high on their own supply, all things considered, Blinkkz, because they get brought down. There's a second one. Oh, it's a clown car of death coming out of that door.
Now that feels like a play right out of Scooby-Doo. One door leads somewhere, and then the other one they just absolutely end this. Caleb's going to get taken out by tidal wave, spraying through Snakino with a little bit of reconciliation. Down goes Scooby-Doo, sprays, down goes Velma. All these players are all over the place. It's a trade game back and forward. 2 for tidal wave, playing with a long angle. Meanwhile, Snakino's going to drop. More track stingers all along this front entrance is Fred trying to clean up best they can. Tidal wave still holding down this bathroom. This, let me remind you, is a construction site, as Bales needs to make their way down to get this planned. They have yet to do so, as inside a site will be Snakino lining up for the Montang as they make their way in. Sprang caught in the vault animation again. Down goes tidal wave. Snakino
recovered their diffuser.
holding site. Impact being used. Plant attempted by Snakino will halt the progress, trying to end this round without having to waste any more time. Left, right. You have to do is to make sure that you are isolating these frags. Snakino is going to opt to hold this one. Doesn't know where the plan went down. Spraying left, right, and center. Is going to see them eventually, but too late. Tries to go for the Pokeball. Snakino with the headshots as the Knights fight back 4-5.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying? About how everybody dies and then it's just a handful of people left and it's whoever figures it out what to do best after the initial clash.
It's so chaotic.
Yeah, Yeah, it's exactly how it is. And I mean, that's not a bad thing necessarily. It's genuinely it's entertaining. Like it's an entertaining game of Siege. Probably make a pro player die, but it's entertaining. You know, that initial joust of the two sides where they sort of smash into each other, and then the wreckage that's left behind as they try and sort of piece together a strategy on the other side. And I mean, you know, all credit to the Knights. They played that really well. They knew exactly what they needed to do. It was good tandem work with the Montaigne to get the plant down. I mean, compared to what we saw on Cafe,
Attackers need to
this
locate
has
and
been a
defuse as
much
many bombs
more
as they can.
impressive and engaged performance by the UCF Knights because there were
Yes.
rounds on Cafe where Scarlet was just running away with it. I mean, you're genuinely blowing the Knights out of the water. And on this map, I don't think we've seen as much of that. The Knights have been a much more effective force on the defense and even on their attacks. They're just looking sharper in how they're taking these fights and how they're winning these engagements, especially the late round engagement.
I like that we have a drone already on site from Bales. I think that's very sneaky, and
5 seconds
Souls
to
being banned
insertion.
is really making a difference. At least from what I've noticed in the play style.
Attackers are
But still
moving
no
out to
pulse.
locate a
I do
bomb
very
and
much
defuse
miss
it.
the days of having a pulse go down below and play. That was always my favorite type of role to be taking, as I felt so
Perimeter set.
sneaky of sorts of that they don't know this is coming. If they didn't drone me out, if they're not playing, then it always makes an explosive part of the round. I do want to pivot a little bit to talk about the operator selection on the side of the Knights, as it has been very versatile. However, I feel like on a site like this, it is a little bit more of a blunder to not be taking any hard breach. Hibana would be great for getting the lines of sight to really set yourself up, or even the ace that you saw previously. Now, I know there's a lot of conflicting opinions there, and you might just want a little bit more soft breach, but Sledge feels like a mispick, as there's just not enough utility that you need to do with this sledgehammer.
Well, Maui getting picked up early right there, and that'll lose him to Iana. And yeah, I agree. I'm not sure exactly what the Sledge's idea was. Maybe they just wanted frags. But in that case, why not bring a Finca or a grid? Gridlock would have served a purpose. But I mean, there must be a plan. So we'll have to see how Caleb plays it out. Scooby-Doo here holding in CCTV and gets pinched. Great play. Snake Kino's just in the mix right there. Catches Scooby-Doo and keeps that pressure rolling. Running into a difficult defensive situation right there. Velma jumps back into it and catches Caleb. Daphne in the mix as well. Finds active. And a flurry of kills there at the minute 30 mark. And Snake Kino and Bales are the only ones who are left. Snake Kino finds one, but Bales is playing off of the window into archives. And unless people start slinging themselves in front of the gun, I doubt he's going to get any picks. Snake Kino is basically doing this by themselves at the moment as Bale rotates to try and find a different spot to attack from. Here comes Snake Kino again, picks up one more. A triple kill for Snake Kino as Bales is just trying his best Ash impression with the glass. Unfortunately, it won't work. Bales gets taken down. Snake Kino does get the plant, but this is a desperate situation, Biggs.
Got to play together. You can't give them the opportunity to quote tip with Snake Kino. They're going to swing around. They have the information. They just have to pop out at the right moment, and they'll do it. That's an ace clutch for Snake Kino. Keeping the Knights in this. Corbec, how do you write a story better than this? As Mystery Inc. will go crumbling down into the ground.
There's no way. There's no way. Snake Kino just running the old school.
Wow.
Ash rush. The hot stepping Ash, which is something you don't see that much anymore, and just getting into the mix. And the members of the poor OSU Scarlet defense, the OSU Scarlet offense were just completely confused by that. No good answers on what to do with Stinkino getting in there and getting mixed up. And then Bales, I mean, he didn't really help all that much, but his pure body running around getting shot at was causing so many distractions that it allowed for Snakino to get in a good spot to put that plant down. What a wild ride of a round right there, and a huge play by Snakino when his team needed a huge play.
I've been commentating Rainbow Six for a good couple of years now. And our lovely observer unnamed just pointed something out to me. This is a first. I don't have any first left for this game. We saw an Ash plant the defeated.
It's true. We did. We saw an
Never,
Ash plant.
never.
I mean,
Like,
it was very smart.
10 seconds left.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm really trying to think back because I wouldn't noticed.
5 seconds to go.
Getting to the
Wow. How the world has changed.
Attackers objective.
5-5 UFC Knights, or not UFC, UCF Knights, sorry,
Attackers
have
dropped the bomb.
clawed their way back into this
Attackers have
matchup,
recovered their diffuser.
and very much deservingly so. So now that's 2 teams winning 2 rounds consecutive in a row. It's a matter of anything you can do, I can do better.
Yep, I would agree. And really well done by the Knights to even this back up. Frankly, for a moment there, it looked like the OSU Scarlet side might just take it away, and the Knights said no. I mean, they put a foot down and halted it on the attack, no less. I mean, they really have put in a very impressive effort here. Snakino in particular, I mean, that was a huge round. I don't know if they can mimic that one again, and it would take a really impressive performance here from the Ash player to pull off something akin to that just one more time. But already, Snakino making progress, and Fred, who's holding in CCTV, that position might become untenable a lot quicker than they think. I love this defensive spot. I love the fact that you can kind of deny the Ace Selma charges from the spot, but your vision is split. Snakino takes advantage of that, just rushes in and gets the kill. Daphne trying to pop up and get one, but it's Bales who drops first here. The IQ out of the mix.
That's a very important operator to lose, so they can just go down below and keep spraying. Caleb with to find Velma. Meanwhile, Maui's still on the rappel. Is going to go into retreat, try to play for a different angle. Caleb using this great soft aggression. Snakino, somebody who's really come alive in these last few rounds, is still red hot. As they've yet to die. I think that might be 7 consecutive kills without a death. Minute 20 to go. We see this first wave now where we're waiting for the second one as UCF Knights are doing great. Extra self, sent up above, down goes Caleb. Great information from Daphne. Now they have to make their way right back to the site, as that will tell them that there's only 1 player remaining. You have a lot of different things to contend with. Snakino on a triple kill. Down goes Scooby-Doo. Daphne. Snakino once again on the Ash, going for the plant. It won't even matter as Maui collects a kill onto Daphne. This is a Knights roster that looks completely different. And this, Corbec, this is the ramp up I was talking about.
Yeah, the lightning rod of Snakino here really driving this UCF Knights offense. And OSU Scarlet, it's like they didn't anticipate this. Like, they did not anticipate the Knights coming roaring in with this level of aggression, which is funny because, I mean, the Knights have been aggressive this entire time, right? They've been hyper aggressive. But OSU Scarlet was doing such a good job of predicting that aggression that it never felt like the initiative was really sitting on the side of Knights. But you look across these rounds, and Scarlet, I mean, they're struggling to adapt. Their defenses are getting picked apart by the way that the UCF Knights are attacking. Swapping the site, I think, is a really good call because it could perhaps put a little stopgap in the Knights' sort of run back. And I mean, if you can get this round win as OSU Scarlet, you can force this to overtime. And I think the odds are okay if you can get into an overtime, but you've got to stop the bleeding here because UCF Knights, they're got to be riding high on the horse after these successful rounds.
It's exactly the mentality, and I wanted to see a timeout there. That is my actual. I think timeouts are being underutilized in this matchup, and I understand just wanting to keep things going. Like, let's turn it around. We can do it. But you need to slow down sometimes. That's something that I really notice within a lot of these esports rounds, but especially noticing in my work with hockey commentary is being able to slow down and have that time to talk and figure out what your plan is next. And I know it's very hard to compare the two, as this is 5 players that are on the entire or playing the entire game and might have a chance to talk with a coach sometimes, and it's a lot more grueling on your mental. But it's that same mentality of you need to have a cohesive plan playing together. And that's something that I've not really seen from OSU, is they have players playing for an individual lineup, but holding down something like CC being droned out quite early on is something that I get pretty worried about. Bales being the one to switch over to the Ash now as Snakino makes look like a support role on the side of Good luck. But a little bit of confusion, visible confusion, if you can see my face right now. They'll spring around right towards these stairs, and perfectly. Where's the early aggression I was waiting for?
Yeah. Total change of pace here from the side of the UCF Knights, and maybe for the better. I don't know. I mean, this almost make OSU Scarlet sort of reassess, second guess themselves in the way this is going. Unfortunate there for Daphne, couldn't get over that, had to blast it away. But yeah, a complete change in pacing here from the side of the Knights, and Snakino has even switched off the Ash. Unfortunately, the first kill comes in. It's Maui, who couldn't get the trade back. The top floor defense is going to remain pretty much inviolate here as Caleb enters on the low ground with active alongside him. And I mean, I hate to see Maui go early because I think it just makes things more difficult. Bales is in on the Ash here, so they've got some pressure. But now the pendulum's sort of shifting the other way, Blinkkz, because it's becoming a timing issue for the UCF Knights. They don't have a lot of time now to mess around. You're about to hit the minute mark, and it's sort of the opposite of what they were just dealing with.
We're going to see a lot of aggression really start to play out here as a lot of these players are getting ready, dialing in for what could be the final 60 seconds of this entire map. Looking to push this to overtime is OSU Scarlet. Looking to push this to a third map is UCF Knights. Smoke canister being sent inside of Tellers. Caleb going for the plant. It looks to be successful as none of these players all up above have the ability to get back down. They're being held at a very considerable spot. And down 40 seconds to get that defuse. Bales will be down, confirmed by Velma. Spraying out up above, the gridlock of Nekino still alive, confirming all the frags required active to take out Velma. And this entire collapse as Tidal Wave is stuck all by their lonesome. Having to push towards Case, which is covered from up above, looking for the ace. They'll be able to find one. Down goes active, looking up above for Snakino, looking just a little bit too off, and hitting that shift key as Snakino, with an absolute dominant performance for the Knights, will propel us to the third and final map of Consulate.
Wow, what a wild map. A premium tier 2 tournament is about to start up. That's element 2 for Siege. And in a poll of the talent for that, I think almost every member of talent said that they think that Consulate is going to be the least played map across that tournament. And it's because it's weird and it's confusing and it's difficult and it's new. And it's an OSU Scarlet Monday. Oh my lord! You think they were
this match is gonna kill me? I'm telling you.
You think they were getting nettled? You think they were getting nettled by the Montaigne? I feel like they were getting a little nettled by that Montaigne. So no more Montaigne.
Really?
That's fine.
What's making you think that way?
I don't know. It's a wild ban, honestly. But hey, you do you. Ying is gonna be a thing, so get ready for that. Dokai be getting taken off there by the Knights, and that's a perfectly sensible ban. I think the Montaigne is honestly a bit of a well, I would say it was a sensible ban if you were playing a map that wasn't Consulate, because Consulate is so odd. I don't think you can effectively predict how the UCF Knights would actually use Montaigne here. So maybe they know something we don't. I genuinely have no idea. Fenrir getting banned shouldn't surprise anyone. A very strong defensive operator. He's gone. That's fine. We've seen him get a lot of gameplay, especially on border. He was cropping up multiple times. And then I'm going to go and say, yeah, Valkyrie will get taken off there as well. So the cams, that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty standard. I mean, the Montaigne, really the biggest shift here. Outside of that, everything's pretty much what you would want it to be. And you made the point, and I made the point, Blinkkz. I think this map is going to be odd. It's going to genuinely be difficult. It's a confusing map at the best of the times. These two teams have been very high tempo, very aggro. And they're gonna struggle to apply that in a map that's complicated internally.
I actually like the way that you've been classifying it in odd, because what makes a game odd? And I think it's just going to be the fact that these teams are playing together in a way that results in a lot of trades and a lot of individualistic gunfights that are supported from people that might be across the map. It's something that doesn't really feel conjoined and connected the way Rainbow Six Siege normally does, but that's exactly it. And we now have the reworked Consulate, making for a very weird and different sort of matchup. So I'm interested, and there's going to be a few different changes that we need to adapt to, and I'm interested to see how prepared the OSU Scarlet are, as they're the team starting on defense, and I think that makes for the most interesting aspect of this entire thing, is they're reinforcing inside of kitchen, coffee break room,
10
and
seconds
towards admin, and I think that's going to be
5 seconds
very
to go.
interesting to see, let alone
Attackers objective
the
is
element
to
of these
locate a bomb
long
and defuse it.
hallway corridors. I'm sorry that everyone has to go and listen to me actively trying to apply these two teams to a map that hasn't really been fully explored yet.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. There's a lot still to be done on this map, in terms of like the siege way of thinking, or like the way in which Rainbow Six Siege metas evolve on maps. That's just not happened here yet. It will, given time, but it always, it takes time. It's literally how it works. Early opening here from Caleb, and I did say, hey, Ying's not banned, so we're going to be seeing Ying, and sure enough, Caleb is playing Ying. She's almost too good of an attacking operator not to bring. The combined power of the Candelas and the ability to open up hard walls is a really strong combo. Velva, though, picking up the early kill. The Solus coming into its own. And I mean, this is one of the reasons that Solus gets banned, is because she's very good at collecting these early kills.
Yeah, interesting to see that they also escape the ban phase, but you only have so many bans. I'm just waiting for the day when we get 3 bans on both sides, or just, we'll see exactly how that plays out. Spraying out, it's going to be OSU Scarlet to have the advantage early on, but Snake is still proving to be an extremely troubling force that OSU Scarlet just hasn't been able to contend with, as I think it might be 4 rounds since they last actually received a death during the round. And that will continue as Snake collects their second in the round before finally finding the grave. And at 27, all left up to Caleb on the Ying, spraying around, not able to find the win, and there's going to be a gunfight from 2 separate angles as Scooby-Doo will ultimately win that one out. And OSU will take the early lead, 1-0. And exactly what we expected. Chaos all around us. Once these players initiate that they want to make their way into the map, they will not back down.
I mean, I think you can see exactly what I'm saying, by the way, just in that first round, about how internally complicated Consulate is and how that's going to cause problems for the team. Like, look at the way that played out. Like, genuinely look at the way that played out. The lack of support from the various interlinked members of the Knights. There was no good trade really being established by them. It almost felt like all of them were fighting their own kind of individual battles. Now, partly that was because of how they approached it. You did sort of strand Blackbeard by themselves, right? Fighting a gunfight. Whether they did that, because they wanted Blackbeard to use distraction or not, I don't know. But you were sort of making everybody fight their own battles, and the map is forcing you into those situations. And
Bomb located by
as a result, there's so many different angles you can get swung on from. There's many different positions that the enemy team can take, and it's just a haphazard way of approaching this. And the Knights, maybe they'll have better luck when they move to a different site. I do think this one is a little less confusing, all things considered, down here in the basement. And it has really good options for vertical play, to the point where Maui bringing the Ram along makes a lot of sense on this one.
Yeah, it's exactly the way
5
you
seconds
always go to
remaining.
piano. We just open the entire floorboard. That's continued. That's still the meta for this map, and that's something that hasn't
Attackers are
changed.
moving to defuse a bomb.
I think it is going to be the extra implication, or like how buffer rooms have really been made into this map of Consulate. And when I say buffer rooms, it's just those extra rooms you have to go to before getting to a site, but you still have some of these external parts. But even that extra seconds at a garage doors, that acts as a buffer room of sorts, even though it's entirely attacker preferences. It forces them to move out just that little bit more. So that's the main little thing I'm talking about, where you can't just go right into a site from outside. I love it. It's one of my favorite parts about Villa, for example, is those buffer rooms, and I like that they're integrated in a special sort of way that makes it so even once you make it into the building, there's so many tight contested angles that if you want to take any gunfight in a long hallway, there might be a second or third little micro battle you have to take first.
Yeah. I mean, if you like buffers, this is the map for it, because pretty much half of these entrances have a buffer room.
Like, even right here, take a free screen. That the entire half of the map is cut off. And
Yeah,
then
it's
buffer rooms
buffer
before
rooms,
and after. It's such a weird way to think about things. To repel in, protected, and then not.
Oh, Velma, that's a good pinch right there. Fortunate Daphne is able to get the trade back on Caleb right away, but Snake Eno just been the constant thorn in the side here. As Fred, he's still up here. This is still a very viable threat, this Legion, and I don't think they necessarily know where he is, but Maui's going to get to work on creating these verticals, and that Ram has made this sort of oppressive vertical gameplay so much stronger. I mean, not to mention as well the psychological impact of the Ram going off above you. I mean, we don't talk about psychology a lot in Siege, but when you hear that thing chewing up the floor, it genuinely freaks you out. It genuinely freaks you out. Active, unfortunately, getting caught right there, so that's the rest of their sort of soft destruction taken off the board. They do still have one more buggy to go here as Snake Eno goes on a hunt upstairs.
You gotta really allocate your resources, especially since you lost Case upstairs. The Legion of Red is in such a powerful position to try to hold as long as possible, especially with Scooby-Doo taking out fails. Red just has to collect one frag here and hold their life for as long as possible. There's one. Can they make it two and collect on the round? No, they're gonna get down in the process. Thank you, no. Caught with a goo mine. Information being sent out. Scooby-Doo holding the angle, looking for them, trying to come and confirm the angle. Spraying will be confirmed. Case in the possession.
Recovered the bomb diffuser.
Now in Snake Eno, they have the opportunity to jump out and go for the plant, but they don't have the time. They're going to jump right on around as Tidal Wave takes out Snake Eno, and that's a second consecutive round for OSU, showing a lot of dominance. And I'm taking that back. That was not dominance. That was Case not being handled properly.
Is that what it was?
And yes, and not being able to repel there also was something I failed to mention. So,
No,
yeah,
I
needs to
agree.
repel.
I agree. It was a Case mistake. Honestly, losing the Case on the top floor like that is just unfortunate. And they did a really good job of like setting up the defense around it. And this is something that the Scarlet side has been good at throughout most of these maps, right? They've done a really good job of adapting to the changing circumstances, and when they don't, those are the rounds that the Knights tend to win. They tend to take advantage of that, but on the whole, OSU
Attackers
Scarlet
need
has
to
done a
locate
good
and
job
defuse as many
of
bombs as they can.
forcing the Knights to play a different game. That said, I mean, I don't think anything is surprising about how this is going, by the way, across these first two rounds. The defensive advantage on Consulate here between these two teams is going to be huge, just because it would be huge even if it was any map that had just entered the pool and that the people haven't that people haven't played a lot, but in particular it's going to be huge here because it is such a
Bomb
weird
located by
new map
attackers.
that being able to play on the defense
10
is
seconds to
just gives you such a significant advantage of catching people out because they don't know the map very well.
5 seconds left.
I don't know really what else to add on that front. I mean, I just think that's how it's gonna go, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a 4-2 quite easily for OSU Scarlet.
For it to be 4-2, that means that the UCF Knights will have to collect a round sooner
they
rather
can.
than later. I think they will. I think very easily.
Door secure.
I love watching people place Electroclaws. Like I'm a Kaid.
No. Get us back on Daphne.
No, yeah, Daphne. I mean, I love playing Kaid, or not love. I get forced into playing Kaid because nobody plays Hard Breach Denial. So you got to play Kaid.
It's fallen off a lot, unfortunately. Hard Breach Denial has fallen off.
People don't want to play it. It's not as effective as it used to be, which is multiple reasons for it. And I do wonder if Turabrow coming in is going to maybe change that a little bit because it's a new Hard Breach Denial op, so people are going to want to play it. But I always love watching how people position Kaid claws because there's a lot of strategery that goes into that, and there's a lot of strategery that didn't go into Velvet's death right there. Active and Caleb both getting kills, but Tidal Wave trading right back in the middle of them where he got brought down. And here's Fred on the pulse getting one more. Caleb taking a lot of damage there as well. Snake Eno is going on a wild walkabout here, but Fred just continuing to collect. That pulse is paying dividends right now.
Their ability to feed information to their team and just to collect frags of their own is really proven. And I want to remind everyone, bomb sites all the way downstairs currently. They need to make all the way down. Spraying out is going to be the mute. Backing up with the Mossberg shotgun. Down goes active. All left up to the lonesome player of Snake Eno. The number one player we've seen clutch before, but it will not be the case here as Fred, on an absolute burner, will extend the lead to 3. Great play inside a break room or cafeteria in this scenario, and I really liked their ability just to maneuver around. And I never realized how hidden the head of a pulse could be just sitting behind a counter. It was very well done, and just the ability to pop up, and pop goes the weasel in that case. OSU Scarlet looks like a different team on this map.
I mean, it's the pulse. The pulse on that one worked out really well, and I will say, I feel like the Knights, from a sort of intel gathering perspective, have genuinely struggled a lot on this map, um, because they have struggled to find where their opponents are. It feels like there are a lot of blind pushes coming out of the Knights, which is never a good thing. It's understandable because of the nature of the map and the nature of, not having played it a lot. It's understandable, but it's never a good thing. And you look at a couple of the ways that people have died, and it genuinely feels like they've kind of just run into each other. Like that was sort of how Fred was getting some of those kills. I think they killed Snake Eno, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and think about it, but I think they killed Snake Eno because he basically just rounded a corner and Fred was aiming it, and that's why the pulse was getting such value, because it was really allowing the side of OSU Scarlet to position players in the context of this map, which is something that the Knights were not able to replicate.
5 seconds left.
As this round is
Attackers are moving out to locate a
go
bomb
underway,
and defuse it.
we see Velma switching over to these souls, and I think that just switching between the two consoles should be the best case scenario here. Let's break down the second floor quickly, Corbec, as we talked about micro battles, and I want to really quick as this round even begins. Where do you think we're going to see the majority of the bloodshed taking place?
I mean, I hope there it is already.
Now you get the
Maui taken down early on. That's unfortunate, losing a thinker right there. I mean, again, it's kind of the same tale that we saw in earlier maps. The UCF Knights feel like they're kind of trying to brute force it, and they're sort of getting caught out. But, I mean, look at that vertical attack right there from Daphne. Hideaway picking up another one, and this is just shades of Cafe all over again here, where the members of the UCF Knights are getting completely wrong-footed. And OSU Scarlet, I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about, as the flawless round comes up. And maybe right there, the Solus should not have got that kill, but the information gap between the two sides is so brutally apparent in that one death right there.
I'm really at a loss for words at that round. Is we saw a quick push from the second floor. Even it was spread out. I'm trying to think of my feedback. My feedback from the first map of Cafe was that you need to have an offense from different routes inside the building. But the problem is, it needs to be assessed. It needs to be calculated of what parts of the map you're taking, what parts of the map you're holding. Once you have this part of the map and you're holding it, how you push up. And I think there's a lack of thinking in reverse now. For example, if I go and say, okay, I want to make my way into let's go deep into the console office. I have the window that I want to go and start rappelling on to have a little bit of control. I should probably get catering open, just have a little bit of pressure towards a meeting. Once I have that, I can then look towards the yellow stairs, spiral stairs, make my way in through there, hold from the skylight as people rotate around, trying to get that initial man pick. And if you are not able to do that, and you go and say, okay, admin is where I want to push in. That's a whole bunch more micro battles, and you have to go and take the far point first. You can't skip steps, which I think is what the Knights are getting caught doing. And because of that, that is why you're seeing the OSU 4-0 lead.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree, and it's not that these rounds have been unwinnable for the UCF Knights. I mean, that last one was. But not all of them have been unwinnable. I just think it's a matter of rushing it blind and trying to make things happen and stuff like that. It's just like, hey, that's just map knowledge. I mean, genuinely, that's what that is. And that is me being a little charitable, because that's a classic consulate peak. It was the same on old consulate. It shouldn't take a lot of, calculus to realize that's going to be a thing on new consulate as well. But a lot of it, I think, is just map knowledge. And I think that it's not even that OSU Scarlet know the map much better. It's just that they have started on the defense. So things like those little peaks and stuff, that's just getting them down. But, hey, the plant's coming in. Because OSU Scarlet has pushed so far off of this site, the plant is going down super fast. Snake Eno is in deep. And, I mean, they're here. They're getting kills. But they're going to have a hell of a time getting back into this.
It looks like they've done a good job so far. They have good information on where they got to be coming from. But here's a absolute great kill or double kill from active as I'm going to shut down 2 of the players from OSU Scarlet. Bringing is going to be Scooby-Doo, having to try to find the angle. Extra cell sent out, not going to find anything. Spray to the left, not a player there to be found. 15 seconds to go, make it more like 7 as they need to get on to the case. And the UCF Knights are going to secure their first round off an attempted retake fail from Tidal Wave. Spraying trying to find Snakino, but that's not a play you're going to catch lacking for too long as they'll snap right onto your neck. And boom, there's your head. It's gone. Knights with the first round as your 4-2 prediction might actually come into fruition.
Yeah, that was a good round for the UCF Knights. I mean, they nearly went random. I thought for a second they were just going to roll the dice. It nearly went bad for them right there. Genuinely, it nearly went bad for them in that sort of tail end. But, the OSU Scarlet side, that's their maybe map knowledge coming in right there. I don't think they realized how fast the Knights could get back on the ball and slam that plant down. And OSU Scarlet got punished for it. The Knights, on the other hand, they did a good job of the post-plant defense. It was a little haphazard at times, but in general, it was pretty solid. I would have liked to have seen some more Traxes down, honestly. But in general, I mean, it was well done. Now, however, we're going back to a bomb site that OSU Scarlet looked real good on. I think this was where Fred was on an absolute tear on that pulse. And if you're the UCF Knights, and if you can positively identify that pulse, I think your work is pretty much cut out for you and how you want to do this, right? Like, you need to shut down the intel engine of pulse very early on in this round.
10 seconds.
10 seconds on this threat phase. I want to go and highlight the same verticality that we used to
5
see
seconds to go.
in an old hold when we used to have the top floor and bottom floor combined. That's exactly what you continue to see. You have to play the verticality here. You have to play the pulse, play for the C4, and you're trying to play for these common plant spots. Make it feel like if you go for A, you're actually not that secure. If you get that plant down, you're still not that secure. That's going to be a really big element. And the last time we saw the Knights actually go and have to contend this, you still could have gotten it if you were ready. Unfortunately, that hard breaching is so difficult. I really feel for Daphne. It's just changed the game entirely. The 2 minutes 25, I think we're going to see a little bit more of a turtle strategy from Scarlet until they are able to spring the trap, rotate around, and get up from potentially spiral staircase, or if we see a push from the opposite side of the map come into fruition.
Yeah, the UCF Knights, unfortunately, are not going to be able to perform that little trick that they got last time again, right? There's no quick entry here. But they have at least survived a minute without anyone dying, which is good. That's good. That's an advantage for them, because it's not been that case in the last couple of rounds. They're not going to be able to take this pulse out very easily. Pulse is buried in here, and as long as Pulse is buried in here, I mean, you see that Z-ping. You see it right there. He knows exactly what's going down, and Daphne's going to capitalize on that. Daphne bottles it, but the Pulse will not. Fred swings on it again, and Fred nearly gets a second, but it's a good kill from Caleb, and the door is now open. They've managed to crack the lock on the B bomb site. If they can get everybody back in the same place, they might even be able to get that plant down and get to work.
Yeah, great plays all throughout Electrical Hallway, and especially through getting their way to servers. I think Kino's looking to make a little bit of an impact, and that's exactly what the breaching ramp. They have to deal with Tidal Wave spraying right through that front door. This is a completely different sort of peek you would normally take, and Tidal Wave will win that one out onto Snakino, not expecting the ace to also be there. Caleb's going to collect their second frag, and this entire round with 55 seconds to go, all these players are really spread out. Velma, Scooby-Doo not even able to play together. The attackers of the UCF Knights are able to go and isolate these frags. This can make a really big difference in the round. Caleb will go down as a result. Scooby-Doo playing with that SMG-11, forced to go for that refrag. Will not be successful. Caleb revived with a Finca Adrenal Surge, and now plant will have to be attempted. Going for it, staring right at them. Great shot from Velma. Bales is going to get off the plant. Wait to see if they are able to confirm it. 20 seconds to go. You want to go for this much sooner rather than later. Are you safe from any push from the castle rotating around into lobby? And they find the angle. Super Shorty in hand is going to open it up. Spraying, narrowly missing the head of Bales. Both these players are near full health. Spraying, and we'll be able to find the headshot.
Wow.
What a shot from Velma. In the way right back in the site. That's essentially, yeah, that'd be a 1v3 in that scenario, and that secures a 5-1 split, and OSU putting in the work in this first half, paving the way as we're mimicking the scoreline of Cafe.
Unfortunate, honestly, for the Knights, because they did well on that round. I felt like they had a good opening there. They just weren't able to adapt to it in the way that they needed to do. And now they're looking down the barrel of, 5-1 is not great. It's probably not unexpected though. And again, I kind of stand by it. I mean, nothing about how those defensive rounds were going was particularly surprising, right? Like it was pretty much what we expected. The attacks were getting kind of lost in the sauce. Um, Oops, unfortunate. Then they kind of got taken down. And they did better as the rounds progressed, I think, of not putting players in situations where they were having to take just like fighting by themselves. But even look at what happened on that last round.
Use as many bombs as they can.
The opening was made. They killed the Pulse. They had access to a bomb site, but Finka was all the way on the other side of the map, and Ash was on the other side of the map opening up the door, and then Ace is just standing there like, oh, hey, I think it was an Ace. It's just like, hey, I'm here down by B bomb site. And, that's the map coming into play again, because you're not able to do something like you would on, say, not Skyscraper, on, say, Cafe, where everybody's kind of pushing from the directions that are known. You're playing it a little bit differently. But anyway, defense ahead here. Blinkkz is what we're looking at. And let's see how the UCF Knights take advantage of the defensive side. A potential sort of rushy setup coming out of the side of OSU Scarlet. That Blitz making an appearance, or not Blitz. I always get him confused. Oh no, it is Blitz.
That is Blitz.
I get so confused between Blitz and Bandit, and the reason that is that Bandit has that lightning bolt as his icon, and their models in their pictures look very similar.
It's the exact same.
It always seems to me like an icon for a guy called Blitz who moves really fast and blinds people with flashes. Seems like a lightning bolt makes a lot more sense as an icon than the electricity man having a lightning bolt.
I'm sorry, the historical element to it would be very fitting.
Yes, yes, right?
It's so much more logical.
It makes so much more sense, and I've never understood it. And I swear to God, if I ever get a chance to talk to an Ubisoft developer, I'm going to ask them why.
I mean, it also makes sense for Bandit. Anyways, we have kills erupting. Let's make their way in, avoiding the flash. What a great split from Maui, looking to get a second frag, spraying all the way towards the gridlock, but no, Fred's gonna be with the one that went out. And while Active and Caleb will confirm their 2 frags, making this a 2v2 as Bales, down early on in the round, is still bleeding out as their vision is going black. They're starting to see that white light, and there's no player available to get them revived and up. So with a minute and 40 seconds to go, we're now going to see a 2v2. Favoring absolutely no one, but I'd say based on the operators we have available, perhaps OSU Scarlet, as they can go and use those drones. The souls being alive and a zombie being able to shape the entirety of this map could make a really big difference. But no, down goes the zombie tidal wave with a kill onto Caleb. 2v1 Active has to go and do their best to isolate these 1v1s. They'll be a few onto the first one, looking for the second one. Hey, that's a great reticle, right at head level, knowing exactly where they need to look. Case is in the possession of Scooby-Doo. They're working for the snack. Can they make it happen? An early bedtime could be guaranteed if they can push themselves to match point. 5 and 2. Barricade's already broken. You're going to have to repel if you go for that, and you can't vault out, making for a very interesting interaction.
Attackers activating the
Secured.
diffuser.
Spraying. They're going to repel right out that window.
Defenders
Say don't
eliminate the
option.
diffuser.
Spraying for it. Now it's just going to be a waiting game. Do you have the information? Can you long arm it? And I believe you can. Listening for it. Swinging it right back towards the window. And pros do not fake spraying. You can't hit that angle.
Defender mission successful.
UCF Knights collect their second round.
Oh,
Of the
no.
Poor placement of a defuse.
Oh,
Ouch. Ouch. Ooh.
that sucks. That sucks. I there's no other word for that. That sucks. I mean, Scooby-Doo, that was the right call. That was the right call, 100%. Get that defuse down, play it off the repel, smart moves. Just, Another equally smart move by the Soul is to wedge themselves as close to the wall as possible to make that defuse. Oh, that is rough, my friend. That's a tough round loss right there for OSU Scarlet. But yeah, that's unfortunate. All
Defenders,
things
protect your
considered.
bombs from
So
being defused
all
by
good.
attackers.
Moving on. Another round in the
Keep it
books. I mean,
deployed.
OSU Scarlet still up by 3. So as much as we want to kind of lament the way that went, we can't cry crocodile tears because
Attackers
you know
eliminate the
they're
bomb.
fine. They're fine. Anyway, looking ahead now to this bomb site and the setup that we have coming down the pipe here from the UCF Knights. We got the Mira in, very standard. Solus, of course, coming back. I think that all makes a lot of sense. Snankino's playing the Azami, exactly what you want to see. They'll be locking down the backside of the site. Bale's
10 seconds
probably
left.
in the position to be the roamer here, maybe alongside the Solus. Both of them can kind of go up. That's
5
usually what
seconds
you kind of
left
want to
before
do with your
insertion.
Legion. But remember, too, the Legion provides a bit of
Attackers are
intel
heading out to
gathering.
defuse a bomb.
In addition to his other responsibilities, he provides some intel gathering because when the goo mines go off, they provide a lot of noise. And the reason that they're putting goos in that little connector is because if the rush does come through there, that'll be the immediate warning that something's happening, is the goo mine going off. And you can see from the positioning that Velma is making here, they're already thinking about it, and there you go, the goo goes off, and that's the opportunity, perfectly timed. Thank you, Active, for demonstrating exactly what I was talking about.
I love when that happens. Absolutely brilliant timing there. As Tidal Wave will get the refrag onto Maui. Down goes here Wamai.
Get a good look at them.
It's going to be interesting to see how exactly these players are going to be able to refrag, play off of each other, impacts ready and set to go. This it feels like a stall. OSU does not feel like they, at least from the Western Front, does not have an answer to this. As they're playing more from piano, but it's going to be Snakeino. From the lack of a coverage of a flank, we'll catch Scooby-Doo just staring right down. Player advantage now shifting right back towards the way of the UCF Knights. And just a slow, methodical push from here. As Snakeino knows they're going to have a lot of players more targeting towards them. Daphne has Case in their possession. They want to make sure that they do a great job of watching and being able to play together inside of this scenario as they rotate back down towards the stairs. As Tidal Wave will get the refrag onto Snakeino. As they weren't looking the right way, Daphne lit up to a tiny sliver of HP. Weren't sure where that came from, but Active is upstairs on the second floor console side room, making their way back on towards yellow stairs. I'm left with a little bit of worries as Active collects the frag, and it looks like OSU Scarlet just has enough to make their way into the site. And with 55 seconds to go, they are now caught having to find this refrag. Turning, sitting, waiting, wishing is Caleb. Knowing that they can have someone progress in the mirror holding from the downstairs angle. Active all the way upstairs is really making sure that they're staying mobile on their feet. As the players on the side of OSU Scarlet, you don't have time to be clearing this. You need to make your way towards site as it's the second floor and site's downstairs. A triple kill for Active, and that's a nail in the coffin of sorts. As Tidal Wave gives away their position of sorts, is gonna have to deal with people going and making their way into their line of sight, looking left. Looking right, long hallway, buffer room galore in this scenario. Swing from the hallway, swing from the door, swing from the hallway, finds one. Super shorty, out in their hands. They have to go trying to find this mirror. They'll be able to find a quad kill for Tidal Wave. Do they have the case? No, they do not.
No, they
have to
don't.
sprint all the way towards these stairs, hit by a glue mine, and
Operators, you are out
it's
of
going to
time.
result in disappointment for OSU.
I liked it. I liked
Disappointing.
it.
I liked it a lot,
the-
though.
I like what they were doing on the defensive side right there. I'm going to give them a little bit of credit. It didn't work, but I really appreciate how they're kind of like doing the thing where they were, tapping the shot and then the swing, and they were trying to distract them, and it was just good heads up reactions from Tidal Wave, honestly, to anticipate that and collect the kill. Like, credit where credit is due. Did a really good job of working that out. But by the time that they managed to get through, they was done. There was no chance that they could realistically fight that case back. And the defensive side swap has come in, and it does feel to a certain extent, Blinkkz, like the shoe is on the other foot here for OSU Scarlet. Like they're the ones now struggling with how
Attackers need to
disconnected this
locate
map
and
is
defuse
and how
bombs.
disjointed it makes attacks. But I say that This bomb site in particular is, I think, the hardest bomb site to defend of the standard rotation sites, right? That people have started to use on this. This one is a real make or break for UCF Knights because this is not easy. That split level design is not easy. They definitely have the operators to make it work, Blinkkz, but it's going to be a challenge for them. It's going to be the most challenging of these three.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh,
5
man.
seconds to insertion.
Well, there's so many things that can go wrong.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
and I almost feel as if as I'm looking at every single one of them, there's always an answer from both these teams. I've never found that there's a round where we've had flawless rounds, don't get me wrong. There's always been an answer. UCF Knights find themselves in a position where they have to answer more prominently on this defensive end, but I think that that's the side that we might have a little bit more of an advantage on. The OSU Scarlet is yet to win a round on it, and it's really a test to why of just their ability to continuously hold. And OSU Scarlet, they're not taking complete dominant control of the map. And as we see a potential electrical push, this is an entirely different site. And you mentioned the different sort of dynamics that you have, the pulse, not being able to plant inside tellers. I really want to see that when OSU Scarlet goes and takes something, they make sure that they keep it for their entirety of the round and are not giving it up. Lack of a Nomad, but playing half Claymores should work for this.
Here comes active, swinging. It's not a bad swing at all. I mean, they've got that intel from the pulse. They know exactly how this attack is playing out. They just need to marshal some resources here on the backup by literally putting just Caleb and active on the sharp end of this, and here they come. Maui getting back in. That's exactly what they need. Osa just creeping forward. Again, the intelligence from the pulse is enabling this 1000%. That's a good nitro cell over the top. It only gets the shield, but it's good nitro cell, and it's a good sort of weird fuse attempt in there as well to clear anybody who's trying to play off the holes above it. And this is just a wild battle around here as Caleb finally finds a kill with a nitro cell. Snakeino tries to force a window to get a kill. He won't find it. And the attack stalling out here. I mean, the OSU Scarlet side, they're not doing what they need to do. Scooby-Doo does get a kill. Now Fred's still trying to force the bomb site, and he just cannot find a way forward to save his life, quite literally in this case.
I like everything there except for the fact that Fred has the diffuser. You don't want to be giving away that information. You don't want to be giving that up necessarily. Scooby did a great job of roaming around with there. Now that's going to be cased down on the side of electrical. And if they get a ping, if they can go and realize that's what's being covered, that's an entire change to your entire round mentality that you have to go downstairs. Daphne's taking up the same position, holding this long angle. And they will have case as they died from Bull. Flashbang being sent out. Scooby-Doo collects their second kill on the round. Down goes Caleb. That was your pulse player. A lot less information. Title to take out Bales. His entire round seems to be falling apart, but not if Maui has something to say about it. They're going to take out Daphne. Triple kill from Scooby-Doo as they spring the trap, getting onto site. Snakeino on the echo. And so down the stairs, making a whole bunch of noise, spraying, lighting up Scooby-Doo. But it's going to be from the hole of Tidal Wave, sneaking out, and OSU move towards match point.
It's a good effort from the Knights, but I did say that bomb site really hard, Blinkkz. That's genuinely a hard one, and that split level focus messes stuff up. It genuinely messes stuff up. And that's what caught them out. That's what caught them out at the end of the day. They could not, for the life of them, manage to bring the people back where they needed them to be while still worrying about people on the top floor. Unfortunate. That's just, it's rough. But, GG go next. I mean, you still have the defensive advantage here, and whereas on Cafe I felt like the likelihood of the Knights being able to turn it back to overtime was unlikely, I feel like they can do it here. This is well within their capabilities to win out 3 rounds in the defense from this point forward. Now they would need to win the tertiary bomb site again, I believe, in that rotation, but I think that they can do that. I do genuinely think that they can make this happen. There we go. Okay, I thought we were losing a player at such a critical moment right there. Fortunately, Solus is on the move.
Always scary. And I think this is more of a wake-up call. And just for reference, like I always do a hand check where if I'm getting excited, feeling the pressure and the excitement of the game, I'll go and My fingers are shaking. Like my hands shaking a little bit. Of like I'm just giddy with excitement to see exactly what's gonna happen. I'm also quite
10
hungry. So
seconds
it could
to
be
go.
that. But we'll see what happens. Either I collapse from lack of eating,
5 seconds to
or
go.
this game finishes. But or
Attackers are
both.
moving out
We
to
might see
locate
both.
a bomb
Corbec.
and defuse
You
it.
never know. 3 minutes to separate yourself. 3 minutes for UCF to keep their playoff dreams alive. 3 minutes for OSU Scarlet to move their way towards the finals in a very hard-fought victory. What will happen?
Bomb has been located.
The majority of these gunfights typically going to take place on this third floor. The first one almost taking place as Tidal Wave scares their way in towards the B bomb site from the scaffolding exit on the north exit of the building. Especially around admin, these are a lot of choke points that are being held. Looking in through bathroom is going to find the head of NECC, one of the top frags besides active and a really prominent player in this matchup, and that's going to be a very detrimental player to lose. UFC Night is going to have to step up. All these players need to go and make as much of a difference as they can. Rushing right on in. It's going to be active. The next top frag falling. Relegated to the bench. They have to watch. Try to coach their team as best they can, as we're going to see an absolute flurry of kills exploding. Daphne, Scooby-Doo, Tidal Wave, all the players left alive on the side of OSU Scarlet. Meanwhile, Bales and Caleb. I thought we saw a barricade kill there. I'm not too sure.
We did.
Okay, thank you. I thought I was losing my mind seeing that, but okay. Caleb, sitting inside secretary, pinched. Doesn't know exactly where to be looking. You have to have your crosshair up, looking, ready to pounce on any sort of gunfight that comes your way. Meanwhile, Bales trying out a quick warning shot will give away their location. Caleb to fall. Down goes Bales, and Daphne with the final kill. GG's ring out as OSU R6 will be moving on to your Rainbow Six Siege Legends Division Finals.
Yeah, that's a rough loss there for the UCF Knights, but I don't think they can be too unhappy about it. I mean, admittedly, I'm sure they will be, but they were the underdogs coming into that one. Blinkkz, they were 4-2. OSU R6 was 5-1. I think it was a map.